So, folks, I don't know if we're gonna make it through this, but apparently the Daily Wire is testing their new show, which is called Friendly Fire, where they pit the different Daily Wire hosts against each other in debate. And well, it's not doing numbers so far, I gotta say. Matt Walsh, for example, uploaded this clip from 4 days ago on a channel with 3.3 million subscribers, and it is at 25,000 views. Not ideal. All right. But let's just check it out. This is titled Matt's Hottest Takes from the new show Friendly Fire. Let's see.
I believe today is your wedding anniversary. Is that right?
Now that you mention it, yeah, 14 years. And my wife.
You're spending the day of your wedding anniversary doing this?
Wife was thrilled when I told her that, we couldn't go out just now because I had to go do a Friendly Fire episode. I told her that, and she said, "Matt, get out there and do that Friendly Fire episode. That's the most important thing." 14 years into marriage before
God, they're all so lame. They're all so lame. It's genuinely crazy.
I got married, I heard the same thing that everybody always says, which is it's so hard. Being married is so hard. It's so difficult. It's so hard. I heard this over and over again. I'm 14 years into it. I'm waiting for the hard part still. I'm 14 years into it with 6 kids. And there are challenges, obviously, when you're living with another human being. But for the most part, it's great. You have a person that you like, that you love, that is with you and sharing life with you. And it is actually great. It is. Now, parenting can be really hard. That's the part that is also great and wonderful. But that's the hard part.
That's not a hot take. Wait, that's literally the least hot take I've ever heard in my life.
This is one of the when you categorize rightly, I think, Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, which is exactly what it is by any reasonable definition of the term. Well, that means that there should be consequences to that. And what do we do if you're calling it a terrorist organization? Then you're putting it.
I just want to point out the irony here that Matt Walsh, America First, America Only, Matt Walsh, has a sign behind him referencing what I believe is a European railway system that runs from Hoek van Holland to Roma Termini, which is in Italy. But okay.
In the same category as Al-Qaeda or ISIS. And
also, you're putting a non-existent organization in the same category as an existent organization? What are you talking about? Antifa isn't an organization. People who oppose anti-fascism aren't organized because all kinds of different people oppose fascists.
And how do we handle those groups? And what would we do if those groups were operating openly in the United States outside of ICE facilities and that sort of thing? Well, we know how that would be handled, and so that's how it should be. How it should be handled here. And you're also correct. I think that this is, and it's a point that's not made enough about.
Yeah. I love that Matt Walsh is just coming right out and saying, like, yeah, we should just kill anyone who is anti-fascist.
What's next? Bensel Sharpener will drop his female arousal segment.
Like, oh yeah, I want to hear Ben Shapiro's hottest, driest takes. Yeah, what are his hottest takes from this show? Did you know that being wet is actually bad? I went to the Sahara Desert recently with my wife, and it was the best place I've ever been. It was so coarse and dry. People really sell it short. Much like they sold me short. Because I'm only 5'2".
About how the left gets around this reality, which is that all of the political violence is on their side, and they do it by
How can you say all of the political violence is on the left side when, like, the folks who tried to assassinate the Donald Trump were all conservatives? The guy who killed Charlie Kirk came from a conservative Like, what are you doing, man? Wait, is he actually 5'2"? No, I just inserted a height.
By recategorizing their political violence as not political violence. And by the way, this is a trick they pull with all forms of violence. Okay, this is how they've...
It's really hard for him to make this argument when, like, Donald Trump literally pardoned thousands of convicted people who engaged in political violence.
They have tried to get away with claiming that some of these cities that we can all tell have descended into total violent chaos.
Bro, you don't even go to cities. You, like, live out in the middle of nowhere on a compound and, like, just absorb fear-mongering bullshit about cities. You're like, I'm sorry, each and every one of these men is terrified at the prospect of taking the New York City subway because they might sit next to somebody that has a cute cat and be engaged in conversation with them for all of 2 minutes. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you are not cut out for, like, being able to take the subway, something that, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of school children in New York City do every day, like, you got no business talking about urban centers in chaos. To people like this, like, seeing another human on the same street as them is like a violence against their psyche.
They claim that, oh, well, violent crime is going down. Well, how do they get away with that? It's because when you look at it, oh, well, they're just recategorizing violent crime as non-violent crime. There was a case in Kentucky recently of
yes, the Kentucky-based leftists.
A child that was stabbed to death in his home, and the rest of the family was also attacked. And somehow the guy who committed that crime was categorized under the law as a non-violent offender.
Yeah.
Yes, as we know, left-wing Kentucky law siding on the side of stabbers. You all know how Kentucky is known as that left-wing bastion of legal jurisprudence that protects people who do home invasions and stabbings. You all know that. As a Kentucky-based leftist, I take offense, but also you're right.
And so this is the game they play on so many different levels, and it's really important to point that out. In fact,
can I even find? I want to find this case. Kentucky stabbing non-violent.
I wonder how it must feel to be Ben Shapiro. Your cousin is Mara Wilson and you look like that.
Yeah, like, I don't know, Mara Wilson helped make Matilda. What has Ben Shapiro helped make? Other than, the Daily Wire bankrupt?
When we're talking about left-wing violence in general, there's one entire, category of it that...
Okay, I think I found the news story that he's talking about, by the way. So, he's talking about this story. Ronald Exantis arrested in Florida, back in prison days after early release. Man convicted in the stabbing death of a 6-year-old boy in 2015 is back in prison after he was released earlier this month. Marion County Sheriff's Office in Florida said it received information that Exantis, 42, had recently relocated from the state of Kentucky. Members of its intel unit began an investigation and confirmed he was residing in Marion County. He had failed to register as a felon within 48 hours as required by law. He was placed in the Marion County Jail as being held with no bond. Okay, so he failed to fill out the paperwork. So this didn't even happen in Kentucky. It happened in Florida, but all right. Exantis stabbed 6-year-old Logan Tipton to death, attacked his family as they tried to stop him. 2018, a jury sentenced him to 20 years in prison, but not for murder after finding him not guilty by reason of insanity. The jury convicted him of second-degree assault. He was recently released as part of a mandatory reentry program in state law for people classified as nonviolent offenders. The program releases nonviolent offenders 6 months before their release date to acclimate to the world. So, just to be clear here, Matt Walsh is actually misrepresenting this case. because the guy in question was convicted as insane. Like, he did the crime while not under his right mind. Then served his 19 and a half years in prison of his 20-year sentence and was released 6 months early. And then Matt Walsh is like, yeah, and then he was arrested again. And it's like, in Florida for not registering fast enough as a felon. Huh. Weird. Also, can't help but notice none of this has anything to do with the radical left.
It is left out of the conversation, which would be the tens of millions of babies that are killed because of left-wing policies and have.
I love, by the way, like, what's crazy to me in like abortion, like anti-abortion circles, right? Where their, ideal world involves forcing like people to give birth. They are like, yeah, no, anyone who has an abortion is doing a murder, but they don't act like it. Like, it actually makes sense to me for conservatives who like try to violently like attack abortion clinics, because if you actually believed that there was an ongoing like genocide machine happening, like, that would be a thing to do, right? But none of these guys actually believe this horse shit. None of them. Like, Matt Walsh is like, and the left is killing tens of millions of people every year. But he doesn't believe that shit. Are you kidding me? Like, they think it's vaguely bad, and like they think they are entitled to be able to run like women's lives, etc., etc., etc. They don't believe that there's actually a genocide happening. They don't act like it whatsoever. You would think that if they actually believed it was murder, they would completely disavow anyone who says they've had an abortion, which is like a significant chunk of the population. Yeah, because in the worldview where you are genuinely believe, right, that a massive genocide of the unborn is happening, how can you look at, folks who are getting abortions as any, like, it would be like you're driving someone to the death camp and just like then leaving. You would be like, it would be monstrous, right? Matt Walsh does not believe this shit, and like none of these guys do. It is only a route to political power and to score political points for them. And like, I find it to be one of the things that rings hollow about the entire movement.
Been killed in this country over the last 60 or 70 years. And that,
yeah, also just take a look at how much they value the lives of, the born children of this world, to see how full of horseshit they are.
it's relevant because it is violence, tens of millions of babies. But also it shows, it's one of the reasons why left-wing violence is a much bigger problem. It's because they don't recognize fundamentally the dignity and sanctity of human life. They just don't they see it as...
Yeah, but I also want to point out here, number one, the left does recognize the dignity and sanctity of human life, insofar as you can't put a price tag on it. Every single one of these people in this call right here believes that human lives come with like a price tag. You don't believe in the dignity and sanctity of human life if you can attach a price to it. And I guarantee you, they all think that like there is like a cost-benefit analysis on whether or not to like kill a child, especially if that child is like of a ethnicity that they don't like.
Well, if you're inconvenient to them, that you actually don't have a right to exist in the first place. And if they're going to apply that to their own children, well, then, of course, they're going to apply it to Charlie Kirk. They're going to apply it to any one of us.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk, one of the most famous babies of all time. It's true. I also just like, yeah, of course, they're going to devalue, obviously, Charlie Kirk's life. What about the 60 plus people that the Trump administration has just blown apart for being on boats in the Caribbean, man? with no evidence presented whatsoever of any supposed crimes.
On my show this past week, I kind of laid out this theory. It's not just my theory, but something I've been thinking about for a while. And I am legitimately interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. So the theory is basically this, that pop culture and the culture itself peaked almost at a precise moment in time. And I would say 2007, but you could go a year before that and a year after. So from like 2006 to 2008 was the peak of culture.
Oh my God. Imagine thinking that. Imagine thinking that unironically. Oh no. Is this live? It is indeed. Imagine thinking that that culture in America peaked in 2006 to 2008. Oh, that's so sad. What's the chat on screen? It's riverboat.gg.
The peak of what, some have called, what I think is a good term for it, monoculture. So it's our shared cultural experience. And it peaks right then and there. And you can kind of pinpoint the peak with pop culture, with the things that Hollywood was putting out. I mean, this was, 2006, 2008. It was There Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, Children of Men, Apocalypto.
I get the sense that this man understood none of those films. I get the distinct impression that none of these films were understood by this man.
The Dark Knight and a bunch of other great films came out at the same time. This is also television.
Also, famously, no good television or movies happened before or after 2006 to 2008.
I mean, it was like arguably maybe the 5 of the 8 greatest television shows of all time were airing, overlapping with each other. The Wire, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Mad Men, The Shield. The Office was in its prime.
I have to be honest, you can only make this argument if you haven't seen a whole lot of television. If you haven't seen a whole lot of television or movies, and your window of experience is limited to, the early 2000s, I guess, late 2000s.
I think in its prime, probably the greatest comedy of all time. And then a bunch of others we could name. So all of this was...
Wait, I'm sorry. The Office was the greatest comedy of all time?
Probably the greatest comedy of all time. And
I mean, The Office is good, but it's the greatest comedy of all time? All right.
And then a bunch of others we could name. So all of this was happening at the same time with pop culture. And what you find is this decline.
What shows do you suggest are better than The Sopranos? Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Stargate SG-1, Battlestar Galactica, The Fugitive, Columbo. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of... The Twilight Zone. Yeah, just the stuff on Netflix trending. Yeah, how Columbo is on Netflix trending, exactly.
It started right around that time, in particular with comedies. There were also great comedy. Superbad was the last great teen comedy, came out in 2007, I believe.
MASH was great. Golden Girls. Columbo's great, by the way. My partner does not care for Columbo. And I do have to be honest, he's extraordinarily off-putting in the early episodes where he just shows up and is I find it delightful how unnerving and unassuming he is at the same time. But I understand it's not for everybody. Firefly, yeah. I don't know what else. There are a bunch of great shows. Batman the Animated Series, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. You're listing shows prior to The Sopranos, though? Yeah, because shows before 2006 to 2008 were also very good, and shows after that were also very good too. I would argue Severance is one of the top tier television experiences of all time. Futurama. Hell, The Simpsons is still going. That's before and after. Also, like, I don't know if any of you have watched recent Simpsons. I've heard it's gotten a lot better. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Flight of the Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows. There's a lot of great stuff. I hated how Superbad gives really bad rapey sex advice. Well, yeah, yes, exactly.
Some other Tropic Thunder came out in 2008. I think the last great comedy period. And
Tropic Thunder was the last great comedy? Is it the last one you watched, man? Like, there are parts of it that are pretty funny, but like, there are other comedy films.
and you see it there and it starts to decline, and then it completely falls apart. And over the next, pretty much from 2010.
Oh God, Our Flag Means Death is great.
Until now, there have been some good films. There have even been some great films, I would say. Even some great television series. Chernobyl, I think, is one of the best miniseries of all time. Came out in 2019. But you're never going to find that kind of volume all at one time. And I think it's because culture declined and then collapsed. And right now, when we're looking around, and this is really a starting point for me, I'm trying to figure out, why does everything suck now? Everything just sucks, and everybody.
It's capitalism, man. It's capitalist consolidation. This is the end result of your fucking ideology. Like, companies keep acquiring each other, creating more and more of a monopoly, and then they want to take fewer and fewer risks to maximize their profits. So instead of taking risks on bold, exciting, or new, or innovative television, instead, or movies, instead, what they do is they rehash an endless stream of remakes that are safe bets because they are known quantities to people. Like, it's not difficult to figure out here unless you are just incapable of any amount of self, introspection regarding your own ideology.
Everybody can feel it. And why is it? And it's because we don't have a culture anymore. There is no culture. The monoculture, the shared cultural experience, is gone. It's dead. It doesn't exist anymore.
What's crazy to me here is he's like, yes, the monoculture is dead, and that's the problem, because back when we all shared like one culture, art was better somehow. And he lists, he lists The Sopranos as one of his favorite shows. The Sopranos, a show about Italians trying to integrate into the whiteness of the world and not quite being able to make it, and being instead doing lives of crime. A show specifically about how the United States isn't a monoculture.
And it's only going to get worse, I'm afraid to say. And that's because if we go back to 2007, 2008 range, some other things were happening at that moment when Hollywood was reaching, I think, like its pinnacle. Other things were happening that would prove to be its demise. And a lot of people on the right will point to, well, what happened in 2008? Barack Obama came in, and that was kind of the beginning of this era of wokeness that we're still living in. And yeah, that is part of it, but that's not even close to the biggest part of it. In fact,
is it the 2008 financial crisis that allowed a bunch of companies to sweep in, consolidate their businesses, and create some of the largest monopolies that currently exist in our pop culture, specifically? That economic collapse that allows companies that have capital to expend the ability to absorb their rivals. Maybe that might have something to do with your perceived change in the culture. I don't know.
I would argue that if Obama was never elected.
When was the writer's strike? Because again, everything was going to shit. I wonder.
We would still be seeing a lot of these things today, because the other thing that happened in 2007, in June of 2007, is when the iPhone was released. And the iPhone was released.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. Guys, it's not the massive economic kerfuffle that happened. It's not that. The iPhone it became a thing. It's all the iPhone's fault.
At that point, within a few years, social media took over. I mean, there were already, of course, Facebook was on at this point. Twitter was in 2006. Instagram, I think, was a couple of years later. But
all right, Jack, your film takes are really bad. That's really weird of you to say because I've been talking about television shows.
Within a few years of the iPhone coming out, everybody now has the internet, of course, on their phone. They're bringing it with them everywhere they go.
Also, it's really weird of you to talk about... Can I just say, it's weird of you to talk about boy or girl panties. Why are you talking about children's underwear? Why, like, you little freaks, you're so obsessed with, like, what's in children's pants. It's gross. I don't know, like, grow up. Stop being a weird little freak. There's still hope for you. You could choose not to be a weird little freak. And I believe strongly in your ability to, not be the way you are choosing to be right now. Do you think you're a child? No, but you're using the words for children, which says a whole lot more about you than it does about me, doesn't it? When you're like, well, I used boy or girl, and that can be, that's an adult or a child. I think if you're talking about boys and girls, you're talking about children. That's a lot more about you than it is about me. Keep projecting. I don't know. Learn how to use language. Like, go take your GED and get like your language skills up to snuff, folks. I can't interact with morons like this. You gotta send a better level of troll. It's what's happening. Just someone over in Twitch chat being a weird, gross dingus trying to ask about my genitals, while also equating what I would wear with what a child would wear. It's very weird. And then be like, well, wait a minute, you're the weird one. And it's like, nah, you're the one who came in here to ask about what kind of underwear I wear, and then like tried to make it weirdly childish. That's not on me. That's on you, bro.
And social media comes online. It dominates the culture. And then you have the algorithms. And now because of that, we don't have a shared culture.
Yeah, famously, there were no algorithms prior to the iPhone. No algorithms existed whatsoever.
Experience anymore. Now we have what we have in our phones. We have this algorithmic, personally designed experience. And rather than it being like a radio station that you listen to with a DJ who's your local DJ and says, hey, listen to this great song, and everyone's listening, or you go to MTV back in the 90s for the 90s kids. Rather than that, we have this algorithm that it just feeds us content. And the algorithm doesn't care. The algorithm doesn't care what kind of content it is. It doesn't care whether you like it or not. The only thing the algorithm cares about is that you keep watching it. And so it'll serve you up a cute cat video, and then it'll serve you up a video of somebody getting shot in the head, and then it'll serve you up a video of somebody falling on a skateboard, and then it'll serve you up a Taylor Swift music video. It does not give the slightest damn what it is. It just wants you looking at it. And this thing becomes more and more personalized to the kinds of things that you tend to look at. Even if you don't like them, you tend to look at it. And so now we have this weird scenario where if you go to, if you're a parent and you have a 15-year-old son, your son has his own celebrities. He has his own culture that he's in that is almost entirely inaccessible to you. It's incomprehensible to you. It's not like when I was a kid in the 90s and my parents knew that MTV, and they didn't really approve of a lot of the pop music and the rap and all that. But
they did approve of your career as a radio shock jock where you burned books and wore the Confederate flag and, refereed Nazi diaper wrestling. I don't know. I guess, again, says a lot about them and you.
They knew who those people were because they were the celebrities. They were the stars, and they might not have liked them, but they knew who they were.
Listen, it was good, wholesome Nazi diaper wrestling.
Shared the same we were in the same atmosphere of the same stars and celebrities and films. And now you can have someone who their favorite celebrity is some influencer who's got 20 million followers, But if you're not one of those 20 million followers, you have
Yeah, I forget. A lot of people might not know this. But let me just see. Do I have the video? Here's the screenshot.
Let's get you guys over here. Now we have Internet and we have Tater. They're going to be wrestling out here in the cold, in the mud.
This is Matt Walsh. These are two grown men in diapers. And this grown man, it's really hard to tell from behind, but it has a swastika tattooed on his back, actually. Yeah, it's real fucking weird and gross. Anyway, we have like, here we go. Here's a screenshot that actually shows it pretty clearly. Bingo, right there. So, you know, those are the choices Matt Walsh made with his life before the internet existed, apparently, in his retelling of events.
no clue who that person even is at all. And so things are becoming, narrower and narrower. And now we bring AI online and we extend that out another 5 years. And now we're going to be in a war.
I forgot about this happening and you made me remember. Unfortunate. Yeah, I do apologize.
World where 5 years from now, your favorite
comedy was worse back then. Nah, like there were good comedians that are still funny to this day back then. Matt Walsh was just really shitty at comedy. And also a
and
racist
he still
bigot.
Has a weird diaper baby plush for sale on his site.
Yeah, he also had like the Sweet Baby Gang thing going on with him in a diaper. And he sold plushies of it. I don't know. I think I'm an old-fashioned simple country streamer, but I think this is deeply fucking weird. But, in Matt Walsh's world, I'm too degenerate to exist, so whatever. What do I know?
film may be a film that no one else on earth has seen because AI will just generate it for you. And your favorite pop star will be someone who no one else has heard. Your favorite song.
To be fair, comedy really hasn't been the same since La Rose or Rose.
I don't understand that, and when I tried to click on your link, it did not work. Just returned bad title. Also, can I just say, it's extraordinarily funny to me that on the bad title page of Wikipedia, it says, "Did you mean L?" Also, Matt Walsh being like, yeah, the future is gonna be that they just feed you AI content slot. Like, that's not gonna be the future. Are you kidding me? People are already sick of AI. Oh, also, this is an actual TikTok from Matt Walsh's account.
I don't know what to say about this. I was told that we sold an enormous amount of these yesterday when I announced it, and I'm deeply disappointed in all of you. I don't want you to buy this. Like, I'm just telling you the honest truth. Please don't buy this damn thing. It's not right. It's not okay. I was never fully on board with it, and don't buy it. I make money on these things, and I am telling you, don't buy it. They got this whole copy in front of me they want me to read. I'm not going to read it. I am telling you that we put these on, and it was kind of a test. It was like, how willing are people to buy something this viscerally disturbing? And I had hopes. I was the small glimmer of optimism that I still carried with me in my soul. I said, no, people aren't gonna buy that. There's no.
The entire argument is really undone by the fact that he's selling it.
Nobody wants that in their house. What are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that? I don't know.
Is something no one else has listened to. We're already seeing that starting to happen. I think it's going to get worse. And the monoculture is dead. And now we have this kind of fractured culture that is broken into a billion different pieces. And I'm not sure how we pull ourselves out of it.
Depressing.
So
thanks, Matt.
It is quite depressing. Well, picture this. You walk over to your computer, pull up your entire browsing history, hit print.
Oh, no.
Print. and then nail those pages to your front door for every neighbor to see. Sounds pretty insane, right? Well, that's essentially what's happening.
Wait, why would it be insane? I live a good, clean Christian life. Why would it be insane, Matt? Why would it be insane if you're living that good, wholesome Christian life, Matt?
Every single day, unless you're protecting yourself with ExpressVPN. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your internet provider can see every single VPN comes in. It encrypts all your...
I do appreciate that his expressvpn.com tag at the end is wallshit. I do want to take a moment to just appreciate it's expressvpn.com/wallshit. And you know, I think that's really funny. I think it's great that nobody sat down, looked at that, and said it out loud.
Why nail it up on your door when you can cross-check with your son? Hashtag you and your Johnson.
Oh my god, Sake Tanuki with the people's elbow from the top rope. Good god. Oh, fuck. Matt Walshit.
ExpressVPN.com/WalshYT.
Why you reading it as Walsh YT, huh? Why not Walshit? I think it's lovely and fitting.
Because I do think that kind of to the point that's already been raised, that the church...
The rise of Christianity? Somehow Christ has returned.
Is getting smaller, but it's also getting more conservative. It's getting more faithful at the same time. And that's kind of what the statistics show us. But then also what you realize is that you can't really trust the stats, because I think what's actually happening is that now that we live in this godless heathen world, there's no real...
Somehow Christ has returned. I look, sometimes I really enjoy my own jokes, okay? Is this evil Hank Green? No, I think this is the guy from Pints with Aquinas. Also, I love that his argument is to try and quote stats, but then to say stats aren't to be trusted.
Cultural incentive to just show up to church, even though you don't believe and you don't care. So you don't really have the cultural Christians anymore. Because there's no...
What are you talking about? Of course there are still cultural Christians. Have you ever been to like a Midwest like super church? Like sometimes it's just like the thing to do.
Incentive for that. You could just not go to church. You could not claim any faith and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but like some people still go to church because they want like a social circle, you know? Like
fine. And I think that is falling off. Now, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you look at church attendance or whatever else, people that were claiming to be Catholic, claiming to be Christian, it was higher, but a lot of those people, you know, they didn't really believe, they didn't actually care, they were just showing up, they were going through the motions because there was a certain cultural and there's a social advantage to it. And now that the social advantage is gone, a lot of those people are falling off, but they didn't have the faith, they weren't faithful to begin with. And now the people that are showing up, like they really believe, they're there because they really believe. And I also think, to someone's point, I wasn't really paying attention. There's this need for meaning, and so what you have, especially with Gen Z, they came into a culture that there's no meaning. This
is so incoherent. Guys, I hate to say this. I think he might have peaked with What Is a Woman. I think that's the only thing he has. I think I think like all of this is just gibberish. I just, there's no meaning anymore, guys. There's no meaning for Gen Z. Like, they don't have any meaning or anything. Gen Alpha memes don't make sense to me anymore, man. Dude, you're just out of touch. You're out of touch and old. Like, it's fine. It doesn't mean there's an existential crisis. You just don't care to understand the cultural, ways of interacting of younger generations. It's fine. Some people hit that point.
It's directionless.
That implies he was ever good to begin with. No, I mean, like, among conservatives, he had the juice. You know what I mean? Like, he understood what conservatives wanted, and what they wanted was like a pretty poorly made documentary to push transphobia. But that was like, I don't know, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't remember. But like, I don't know that this vibes with anyone. Hence why this video has been out for like 4 days and it has 25,000 views on a channel with millions, despite the fact that it being like a collaboration between so many different content creators at the Daily Wire, and the Daily Wire pushing it on all of these different channels.
And so they have this real hunger for meaning, which means that's why you have some Gen Z that they're super Catholic, they're super conservative, they're really traditional, and that's great. And you find that they're going to the Latin Mass and all that kind of stuff. And then you also have Gen Z, they've gone to the other extreme, and they're getting into LGBT and trans and all that. But it is all this intense hunger for meaning, and some of them are finding the right place, some of them are finding the wrong place. I was thinking
that wasn't that was such a non-argument. Like, the entire premise of that was some people like things I like, and other people don't like things that I like. That was his entire argument there. There's no culture, so sometimes people like things and sometimes they don't.
Thinking about Matt, the point you made about not to oversimplify, but it's a little bit of like fake it till you make it. Like, maybe you don't fully believe this, but if it's not true, you got nothing to lose by sort of acting as though it is, and then maybe as you act as though it is, you'll come to believe it. If I understand kind of your point. And I think that
I love that this point directly contradicts his previous point about like people aren't going to church anymore because there's no point, because they never actually believed it. But they should still go to church even if they don't believe it, because sometimes they might come to believe it in the future. Like, okay.
In many cases in life, I actually think fake it till you make it is maybe one of the wisest cliches that's ever been uttered, because that is true for.
Yeah, look at Matt Walsh. He faked being like I don't know, like a woodsman. And look at him now. Woodsing around woodsily all over the place.
For a lot of things. I mean, I've said this many times about depression. People say, well, I'm so unhappy, I don't know how to be not depressed. Well, just pretend you're not. Like, just act like you're not. Pretend you're not unhappy. Just go around totally.
Yeah, man. Like, if you're struggling with depression, don't tell anyone and pretend everything's fine. That totally works out so well with people who suffer from depression. Right, his audience is primarily young men, right? His audience is primarily young men. And men suffer from the highest rates of suicide, in part because they bottle up their feelings and try to act for as long as possible like they are fine when they are deeply not fine and need help. Matt Walsh is actually advocating for a take that increases the likelihood of people isolating themselves and carrying out their suicide. It's really gross. Matt Walsh's audience is only men older than him. That's even worse.
Fake it, be completely fake and phony, and act like you are not depressed. And you will find that you actually become less depressed because you're acting like it. So I think that is often true with a lot of things.
Matt, if you're a little puppy sitting in a room on fire, just pretend it's fine. Yeah, sip your coffee, puppy. It's okay.
How's that working out with you for the show? Just
but I'm not faking it though. That's the thing. I'm not faking it at all.
We're not all faking being friends.
So I think there's a lot of truth to that. But the counterpoint when it comes to religion in particular is that, like I said, what feels like 2.5 hours ago, that it's like people.
Genuine mirth.
People were doing that in the culture when there was a social incentive. They were going to church. They were going through the motions, And then as the social incentive fell off, they just stopped going. And so in a way, they were kind of faking it, but they didn't make it, you know, so that didn't seem to quite work on a societal scale in our country.
They have a theme song for the show? I was really hoping that they linked to like a full version of that stupid theme song, but they did not. All right. Well, that exists, and now you can all forget about it, because I think it is not going to be relevant. I think this is going to be a short-lived experiment from the Daily Wire, because they're failing quite badly. And I think that's good. And if you enjoyed the show so far, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, and consider supporting the stream if you are at all able financially. Because, folks, you guys make this show possible with your subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. So please consider supporting if you can. And man, that was uninteresting as hell. Oh, I think that gave me cancer. I'm sorry, guys.
Riverboat deck is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.